Welcome back to Weems Motor Co. We have a special little project to knock out. Stick around. So here at Weems Motor Co, I get asked all the time, hey, how big is your shop? Well, it surprises a lot of people to know that I actually only work out of a 24-foot by 24-foot area. So when it comes to space, it is a commodity. Something very important when you have such a small space to work out of is obviously storage and organization. So there's been something that's been bothering me about my space because I've been trying to figure out how to organize the tools for my old South Bend lathe over there. There's a lot of tools that go along with them, things like live centers, dead centers, cutting tools, wrenches, files, all kinds of cool stuff. So trying to figure out a way that we can build a tool holder to be able to organize all of these parts that I usually just keep laying right there in my dad's 1966 Triumph. So I figured, hey, what a great opportunity for you guys to check out and see how I come up with these ideas of organization in such a small space by using stuff I have laying around the shop. I'm not gonna go out and purchase out a lot of metal or anything like that. I'm gonna use what I have laying around here, and we're gonna build something to organize all of those little tools, all those little pieces right here in this video. Let's knock it out. So before we tackle this project, we have to make sure that we have supplies. Well, like digging around the corners of this garage, I was able to locate some tubing, and I found some 2x2 angle steel. So we are going to cut these up and do a layout so that we can get all those little pieces and parts. When I do these layouts, I just pencil draw out things, get some general measurements, and get some ideas of how I'm gonna do it. So let's grab a piece of paper, grab a pencil, and let's sketch this out. After taking some measurements on the 1942 South Bend 13-inch lathe, we've discovered that I need a base of about 12 inches, and I want to go up right above this tailstock. So that's gonna be a lift of about 24 inches, and I figured it's gonna take about 18 inches width-wise to be able to fit all of those tools into the stand. So got it all penciled out. Now just gotta cut some materials and get some layout going and figure out how we're gonna put these things together. Are we gonna bolt it or are we gonna weld it? So let's cut some pieces up. Got all our pieces cut up, and here's kind of the idea of my concept. So this is gonna be my base plate. We're gonna mount that down on the base of the bed of the lathe, and then we're gonna mount these two pieces of tubing onto that so it stands up, and then up at the top we're gonna have this other piece of angle iron like that. So it kind of makes a stand, and then I can drill some holes along the top to mount all of those tools and pieces, and even put some tabs on the front for some extra pieces and parts, and then bolt that right down, and we'll have a nice little tool fixture. So now we got to figure out how many holes and spaces and things we got to put in that top piece to fit all of our tools. Let's go grab those tools. lot of stuff to put in a little small area, but here's my idea. As we're working on the lathe, everything down at this end, the tailstock end of the lathe, I want to put all of those pieces and parts, all of those tools that I use at that end of the lathe, at that end of the stand. Things like our drill chuck and our live center. Those things, I'm gonna basically take my angle iron. Let me grab my angle iron here. And I'm just gonna drill some holes so that these things could slide down and sit in those holes down at that far end. The other thing right here in the front, what I'll probably do is mount a little tab fixing out there so I can put my tailstock wrench, hang it right on the end. So all of that stuff's down at that side. Now, the stuff at the other end, things like files and my wrench to adjust my tool holder, all of that stuff I'm going to try to keep at that end. But the problem sits that we have all of our tool posts, all of these things, and you know, it's kind of, you would almost want a shelf or something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these dovetails right here where they go into that quick release tool post, and I'm going to put little tabs right here facing out so that these will hang just like that all across the front, and that'll save us a little space at that end so we could put some holes there to put our files in, our screwdriver, and the last thing obviously is the chuck key. This gets used every time you touch the lathe, so drill a nice little hole to put that chuck key down in there, and that'll get this thing organized. So I'm gonna lay out these holes, figure out where I want everything to be, and then we're gonna head back over to the drill press, start drilling some holes, and then I'm gonna have to make those little tabs for the tool posts. All right, let's get it working. Got our 3 holes drilled. Let's check it out. Let's see what it looks like. Drill chuck right there. Live center right there. And my dead center right there. Look at that. Beautiful. Coming together great. Now, gotta lay out the end of the other end of this bracket. Got a lot of tools and pieces going into that. We might have to actually throw this one on the mill to mill some slots. Let's lay this thing out. So after doing some measuring and looking at the layout for this tool holder, I was thinking about milling some slots that would allow these files to sit in there, but I was like, why do all the work? These circles work great. It's just they're a little bit big. Sits down in there a little too deep for me. So what we're gonna do is make some smaller holes using a stepped drill bit. So we're gonna drill these out. That last little hole only needs to be 9/16. These other ones need to be 3/4. So let's get these holes drilled, head back over to the drill press, knock it out. Trusty old drill press, making it happen super quick. We got holes for the chuck key, for a file, for another file, and lastly our screwdriver. Boom, just like that. All done. Got those other holes for the other parts for the tailstock. Now we got to figure out how we're gonna mount those quick release tool holders for the lathe across the front. Let's get some layout die on there and let's figure out how we can lay these things on there. While that layout die was drying, I decided to take some measurements on these little dovetail cutouts, and I discovered that I still have a lot of that 2x2 angle iron. So I figured, hey, why not utilize something we already got? So we could take these pieces weld them against the front of that plate, very much like that. Pretty easy. And then we could take these and just simply slide them on like so, and it would hold facing vertical on the front of it. Seems like an easy fix. It's gonna be some easy welds on this, so yeah, that's the plan. I just need to cut a few more of these to hang the rest of them up. Let's head back over to the bandsaw. So far, none of these tools really weigh a lot. However, these quick releases, these are pretty heavy little blocks of steel. So I figure it best when we go to lay these out on here that we try to put that weight into the center of it. So we need to get our spacing right, get these laid out so that we can weld those on and we can get this thing going. Let's continue on with the project. Bad. I think that's gonna work out really good. Last two tools we have to put on there is the wrench for the tool stock and the wrench for the tailstock. So my idea is after we have those little plates on there is to just drill a hole there, and I'm gonna take a couple of these 7/16 bolts, cut the threads off so we have that nice shaft, and then we can just simply slide it through, making a peg to hang those on, and I could weld it on the back with the top of that nut. Well, let's do it. Got it all laid out, went ahead and drilled a couple holes in the base so when we go to mount it down onto the lathe, that's already done. Now, next thing to do, line everything up, and then we're gonna go ahead and MIG weld this together. So, get our hood, get our gloves, get our welder going, get this thing welded up. Let's do it. All welded up and solid, ready to go, minus a couple things. We're gonna take this thing and go spray paint it, and then we gotta drill the holes into the bed of the lathe so we can bolt it down, and then we can throw all of our tools on there and be organized. So let's spray paint. It's called rattle can, not rattle can't. And just like that, you have one tool holder for your lathe. Well, I think it was a great project. It took me maybe an hour. I had to wait a little bit of time for that paint to dry. But outside of that, saved a ton of money by using stuff we had laying around the shop. You can do it. What I want you to do right now as we get ready to do the credits and roll and check out all of our cool patrons is I want you guys to jump down in the comments and let me know some of the cool projects that you've done around the house, the shop, to organize and to save space. So jump down in the comments, do that for me. I will make sure that I read all those comments, and maybe you might give me an idea to do something else around here. Well, thank you guys for it. If you are new around here, jump down and hit that subscribe button. If you really like the video, hit that thumbs up, turn those notifications on, and let everyone know what's going on right here at Weems Motor Co. Peace.